The Fast Food Chronicles. How I spent 2 years of my life working in fast food, and my story. It all started in high school. I had just left the worst job of my life, one of the worst jobs. I was actually working at a seafood restaurant as a busboy. I was 15, and I got fired after a week and a half of working as a busboy, which I have a video about. So I didn't have a job for a few months after that until eventually I turned 16. And me and my friends, we were at school in the cafeteria. It was this big cafeteria building. We had an outside eating area and we had an inside eating area. And we usually ate outside or inside. I mean, just depended on who you were hanging out with. And one of these days, I see there's like army recruiters and stuff that set up their booth in these high school cafeterias so that you can like walk up and talk to them. Sometimes it'll be for certain jobs. They're trying to recruit people. So there's a company based in Texas called Whataburger. If you've ever heard of Whataburger, it's a fast food restaurant that specializes in burgers. It's actually pretty good, and it's spreading across a lot of states right now. Originally, Whataburger was only in Texas, but Whataburger has since been expanding into like Florida, Arizona, Louisiana. So slowly but surely, I think it's gonna go across the US and become one of the major fast food chains. But they were hiring, and I actually saw like there was these guys and they were handing out keychains and all this other stuff. And one of my friends was like, yo, we should apply. We should all apply together, right? So there was like me and like 5 other friends. We were all best friends. It was high school. We were 16. And I remember we lined up and we talked to the Whataburger recruiters that were hiring, and we wrote down our names. And literally the next day they called us. They hired all of us basically on the spot. I remember the Whataburger was actually down the street from my house. I didn't need a car to go there. I could just walk. I could literally just walk from my dad's house to the Whataburger. So I go there for my interview and I get hired as a fry cook. So I remember starting there and actually liking it. You know, I met a few people. I met my coworkers. I met a girl that actually got a crush on me like my first week working there when I was training. And we ended up going on a few dates. I ended up dumping her after a few weeks because honestly, I don't even know why I was dating her. I just really didn't think she was that attractive in retrospect. And there was another girl at work that I actually had my eye on. So this chick's name was Stacia. I went out with her for like 2 weeks when I was working there, and then I dumped her. And I don't even remember how I dumped her, but I remember it was really disrespectful. But anyways, going on with the story. So yeah, the Whataburger, I start working there as like a fry cook, and me and my friends are loving it. It's so fun. Working with your best friends, messing around, and all of our managers were cool. We had like 4 different managers, and I swear to God, it felt like I was living in a movie. So there was Lucas. It was this like tall guy. He had a big pot belly, and he was really funny, kind of awkward, and he talked like Kermit the Frog. You like had a voice like this. Yeah, Lucas was one of my favorites because he was super nice. And this is in contrast to that first job I had where they treated us like shit. I worked at the seafood restaurant. You know how they fired us? At Whataburger, they treated us really nice, actually. They were super nice to us. So that was like a plus. And then there was Lauren. He was the general manager, this old guy. And Lauren was a former police officer that broke his leg chasing a pedophile and ended up becoming a fast food general manager after that. Good man. He was a good man. And yeah, he was stern, but he was fair. And when there was like customers messing with us that were being completely rude pieces of shit, he would always stand up for us and kick them out. So I respected Lauren. Then there was Matt. Matt was a really short guy, a really small, like kind of petite guy. And this guy was like, he had an attitude about him. He was like a dick. Now, he was like a cool dick though. Like, you didn't fuck with him because, you know, he would get angry, but he was respectful about it. He wasn't like an actual like piece of shit, I guess. Like bad man. He was a good manager and he was a good coworker, but he just had like that fire inside of him where, you know, like, okay, just don't piss him off, right? But he was a good person. And then there was another manager named Gary. Gary was the night shift manager. He ran all the night shifts. And Gary was like the best, the most interesting manager. He was like this tall, slender guy. He talked like one of those old school Southern like plantation owners. And Gary was like, didn't give a fuck. Like, he smoked weed in his car. He was cool as hell. He treated us like adults. He would cuss us out, but he was like funny. He would like cuss out the customers. People would go to eat there just to see him, which was kind of funny. And Gary was just off the handle. The stuff like we could get away with, they would smoke weed in the back in the walk-in cooler. And Gary ran that shift like it was his own like personal army, because he had to deal with all the drunk people and whatnot. And the people that worked with Gary, it was like his crew. You were always working with him, and we all trusted each other, so we never snitched on each other. It was a very, very close work environment. So yeah, this management crew and the fact that I was working with my best friends, this is probably one of the best like work experiences I ever had. I looked forward to like going into work. I actually looked forward to it. I didn't dread it. Work, that job literally became an escape from my life, which I was going through some real bad shit in the household. So being in that environment, being around my friends, being around adults that I actually cared about was kind of an escape. And it was like socialization and everything that you would want from a job like that. Good people, funny people, respect. And I mean, yeah, it's fast food, and obviously fast food jobs aren't the best jobs, but let me tell you, it was the people that I worked with that made the job fun. And everyone was just laid back and chill and respected each other. I mean, there was some shitty people, don't get me wrong, there was some dickheads, but they weren't really managers, they were just workers that came and went. There's always gonna be that one asshole that you work with. We all have it. I'll be right back. Some jobs are worth it just for the social experience, just for the fun. Because we all can't stand going to a job where nobody likes us or we don't like the people that work there. That's when you dread going in. So I ended up meeting a girl that worked there. And she was a few years older than me. But there was something about her that I liked. There was this girl named Joanne. And Joanne had this like cute little bubbly personality. And I ended up getting along with her really well. So I ended up developing a crush on this girl. I had a crush on her. And I didn't tell her for a while when I was working with her. But she was my coworker, and that's how I met her. This is like my first. I had a couple girlfriends before her, but you know, it wasn't really like a long-term thing. Like I said, there was a few girls that I ran through, but I was still a virgin at this point. I never had sex before. This girl that I met at that place ended up being my first. And that was that's a crazy story in itself. But yeah, I actually met my first serious girlfriend through this job. Now, we're not together anymore, of course. That ship has long sailed. That was like a long time ago. Almost 10 years ago. 8 or 9, depending. Yeah, almost 9 years ago. That's crazy. But it was quite the experience, I'll tell you what. So working there, I started off as a fry cook, and I started working the drive-thru as well. And eventually I found my true place, which now this is the kind of stuff that I do, which is like talking to people, making deals, dealing with people, which is the front counter. I started working the front counter, and I was really good at doing that. So I would ring people up, you know, bring them their food, ask them what their order is, take their money, give them their change, give them different options and whatnot. I would also work the fry station as well if I wasn't messing, you know, with the front counter. I would do what I can to help everyone else. And I was a team player. Like there was a guy that worked there named Jeremiah, who I knew from like gaming. He was a gamer that was from my area, PC gamer. So we kind of knew who he was, but he was like the laziest motherfucker that worked there. And he would always talk about how he's the hardest working one. If he wasn't there, the whole place would fall apart. Bro, he was the laziest piece of shit ever, doing the easiest job, which was working the night shift, making the eggs and the sausages. And so that was like one of the easiest positions on the night shift, because you're just in the back by yourself making eggs and sausages. That's all you're doing, nothing complicated. So yeah, I excelled at the front counter, the drive-thru. I kind of hated the drive-thru. The drive-thru sucked because some of the rudest people come through the drive-thru. I guess because they don't have to look at you once they get their food. They don't have to mess with you anymore. So some of these people are extremely impatient, and they can cuss you out on the fucking speaker. And when they get their food, they can cuss you out and just drive off. We've had many incidences in the drive-thru, which I have some stories about. Front counter can have a lot of assholes as well. I dealt with a lot of dickheads that came in for their food. And one thing about working in a fast food place is you will see how badly some people treat these workers. Because once you've been on the receiving end of some of these assholes that come in, that just demean you, treat you like a slave, it's crazy. They treat you like you're like nothing. And they'll straight cuss you out, which is insane. To 16-year-olds, you know, these are like teenagers working at these places. Basically kids. But some people just come in with a real bad attitude, and they get mad when their food doesn't come out right, or it doesn't come out fast enough. And trust me when I say that a lot of the times people are trying their best to make sure that your food is correct. And that's one thing that sucked about being in the drive-thru or front counter, was that you could take someone's order perfectly. You could ring it up perfect. And some people had some weird ass orders. People order like the weirdest combinations of shit. And that's when people's food gets fucked up, because they're picky about how it is and they need it like done specifically. They want their fries like crispy and all this shit. and oh, my burger needs to be like fucking perfectly done and no oil on the buns, no grease on the buns, blah 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 blah, right? Don't toast the buns, add this, add avocado, add fucking that. Oh, can you add onions, but can you make sure that you cook the onions? Like, when people ask that kind of stuff, bro, you're asking for your food to get fucked up, because there's a whole chain of people that need to make sure the fries being crispy, the guy on the fries needs to know that. The person that like cooks those onions needs to know that too. And I can put that in, but sometimes they're just so busy that they skip it. Human error. They just fuck up and they skip out on it. And guess what? Guess who gets yelled at? The person in the drive-thru or the person at the front counter. The guy at the front that took the order is the one that's gonna receive all the shit talking, the cussing, the fucking yelling and whatnot. And you just have to take it. And that was one of the worst parts about the job. I will bring that up. One of the worst parts about working fast food is, yeah, the asshole customers. And there's nice people too. I would say like most people are nice for the most part. Most people are not gonna give you problems. But probably like 20% of them are gonna give you an issue. They're gonna complain about something. Bro, they'll complain about something even if everything's perfect. They'll find something to complain about. Oh, my fries are too cold. They're too salty. Oh, the burger is like, you cooked it too long. It's dry. The bun is stale. So even if you don't fuck up, these people always have something to complain about. Always. They need it perfect. They try to get it as cheap as possible. Some people fucking get mad when they add a bunch of extra stuff and they're like, what do you mean it's fucking this much? And I'm like, sir, you added fucking double meat, double cheese, jalapenos, all this other fucking crap. It's a large. Like, yeah, oh, it's 15 bucks. Which that was a lot back in the day. I can't believe I'm using that word back in the day. Because it feels like yesterday I was there, clocking in, 16 years old. Now I'm about to be 25. Fucking crazy, dude. How time flies. So, that's it for this video. I'm about to get back home, but yeah, I'm gonna make more. There's a lot I need to go over. Like I said, this is like a saga. So there's like 100 stories I'm gonna have to tell about the Whataburger Saga, the Fast Food Chronicles. I'll let y'all know in the next episode about some more, niche stories, some things that happened. This is just kind of a general introduction, because obviously the proof or the good stories are in the like specific events. All right, peace out.